Hello from the BBC World Service and welcome to the latest edition of the Documentary Podcast. Every week we bring you a range of stories from our presenters and reporters across the world. If you have the time, please rate the documentary on your podcast app and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think.
A frantic search for survivors is underway in New Zealand tonight after a devastating earthquake struck the South Island city of Christchurch.
Christchurch, February 2011.
These are the panicked moments after the earthquake struck.
New Zealanders call it the quake that changed a nation. The centre of Christchurch is still completely off limits.
Well, it was that terrible earthquake which put Christchurch into people's minds, and indeed it's what has provoked me to come here to see how it's coping. But there are other things it's known for. As a sports fan, I know it for its associations with rugby union and cricket. And of course, Christchurch just about faces the Antarctic. It's cold, and I've come prepared.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
There aren't many houses in Christchurch which don't have a story to tell from that fateful night. And that includes the small cottage where we're actually staying. Karen's our landlady for 3 nights. So what happened here?
It was a little bit damaged in the first earthquake in September, but on the February earthquake, the 2 brick firewalls on either side collapsed, and there were just lots of structural damage as well, cracks and things.
But you had customers, didn't you?
We had people staying here at the time, and they very quickly got in their camper van and drove away. But when I rang my husband, he just said, the garage is down, the cottage is down, I'm at the hostel, everything old, thinking I've got to go buy. And so I figured he was okay. Because
we should make it clear, as well as the cottages, you run a hostel, so you've got backpackers staying.
Yes. But the hostel was fine because it is being wooden, it kind of swayed, and the problem with this place was that being an old original building, it did have the chimney that collapsed, and so it was red stickered, so we had all our furniture and everything still in here, but we weren't allowed in to get anything out.
So they don't put anything round it or anything, they just... No,
there's just the red sticker on the door. So we got graded down a little to yellow. We were allowed to get in and get our things.
It's like having the plague, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really. It was.
And the way they used to label houses or mark houses.
Yeah. But as it worked out, it's a really happy story because we've got a brand new cottage on the same footprint, but we've got all the good things about a modern rebuild with some recycled material. And the other interesting thing to me is I gather that people are moving into Christchurch. I think a lot of people are probably attracted by a lot of the creativity and the opportunity for new things. The backpackers are really slow to return. Are they? Yeah. The backpacker industry is very much word of mouth, and the word of mouth at the moment is don't come to Christchurch, it's boring, nothing's happening yet. So we're hoping that's going to turn around really soon because things are happening now.
There's a path just coming up here, on to turn right here.
Yeah. I feel I need to find out about this fun, given what the city has been through. So I'm hooking up with local journalist Rick Stevens.
Now, just what you're putting here, there's some tiles here.
What's the work going on here?
That's the new library that's being built behind us. Yeah. So there's about a 5-storey building going up. There's a crane sort of moving across the front of it there. And that's going to be our new sort of central library. That's the noise of Christchurch. Yes, it is. But what we have here is the dance. You're actually standing on a dance floor here. Am I? Yeah. So this is actually a dance floor. Yeah, it's a plywood dance floor. It's about 5 metres by 8. Yeah. And in each corner you've got a loudspeaker that's mounted on a big tripod. And just put your hands down. What does that feel like to you?
A sort of speaker.
This is actually...
It's not a jukebox, is it?
No, it's a washing machine.
Oh, of course it is, I should.
Yeah. If you open the lid of the washing machine, what you've got there is a cable that you can plug your iPod into. Hang on. Just if you put your hand there, you find the coin slot, so you put right up here.
Oh yeah, I've got it.
Put your $2 and then you push in the...
There we go. Fantastic. So do people... So I am involuntarily swaying, which is obviously what you're meant to do.
Yes.
And do people use it?
They do use it, yeah. Perhaps not in the middle of the day on a windy Wednesday, but they... we've had all sorts of people dance. We even had Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall were visiting here, and they were induced onto the dancer mat by some local people.
Right, off we go. Let me give you a whirl for the next excuse me.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my card seems to be full.
I'll have to wait for the Duchess of Cornwall to come by then. One of the things I regularly do in this series, I look for another blind person to give me their perspective on the sounds of the city, and this is particularly appropriate in Christchurch because since the earthquake it's become particularly difficult to navigate. So I've come to see Terry McElroy.
Come in.
Terry.
Yes.
I'm Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Lovely to see you.
It might be a bit warmer in here, but one of my birds sings very well. There's all different colours, Peter, and everybody that... Have you got any sight at all? Or?
No, I haven't got colour distinction. I mean, I can see
you can
light
see
and
light
dark.
and dark like
yeah.
me, but
yeah.
not colour.
No. No.
They're all different colours, and everybody that comes in and I show them round the birds always comments on their colours. Now, that bird that's being noisy is probably 1 foot. It's either 1 foot or yellow.
1 foot?
Yes, because he's got 1 foot.
Oh, I see.
So
are these rescued birds then?
No, some of them, well, there's a bit of a story. I've always liked birds ever since I was very young. At the end of 2010, I, as a birthday present, decided, right, the time has come, I'm going to buy myself a budgie with some birthday money. And so I joined the bird club and decided that I'd like to get into roller canaries on a competitive, breed and showing them. And so I've ended up now, some of them I've bred and some of them I have, bought, but I've ended up with 17 canaries. I know that it's too many. It's too many.
So let me simplify this a bit. You started with 1 budgie for your birthday,
yes,
and you've ended up with 17 canaries.
And
how many budgies?
Now I've got 3 budgies.
Are they all in here?
Yes.
All 20 of
All
them?
20 birds are in the lounge, yes.
So is this a hobby or an obsession,
yes.
Terry?
Well, it's a bit of both, really, because I had the birds after the earthquakes, and they helped me to feel more normal about things, or just to sort of live more normally, because I had something to focus on other than just the earthquakes happening. And
is that because did it unnerve you, really?
The earthquakes themselves didn't. It was the after effects of not being able to go anywhere, and everywhere that I had previously gone to was just gone, and so yeah, they just was something just for me to focus on.
You really love them, don't you?
I do. Yes, exactly. And, yep.
Okay.
And
so Terry has now safely stowed her beloved birds away with their covers over their cages, and we're going to venture out into the centre of Christchurch.
we just need to go along a bit further, and we're coming into the bus exchange. And on the floor we've just crossed over some tactile markers.
Yeah.
There's a box just along here somewhere.
Mhm.
And these tactile markers guide us along.
Yeah, I can feel the markers.
If you, there's somewhere on.
So here's a box.
If you feel up the top here.
Yeah.
There's
Braille.
print and braille.
Braille.
And
platform C, door 9.
Door 9.
Oh.
60 Hillmorton and Wigram.
Bit loud, aren't they?
That's right.
But that does sound like quite a good system where you can do it independently.
It's a good system, and also if I use a GPS app called Move It, and that tells me when my bus is arriving as well on my phone, I can hopefully get on, ask the driver to make sure I'm getting on the right bus, and then know where I'm going and when to get off at the other end as well.
So you can combine the technology that they've got here with the technology you've got in your pocket.
That's right, yeah.
Is arriving earlier than expected. Enjoy the full brunt of the storm.
Now, one of Christchurch's international claims to fame is that it was the jumping off point for Captain Scott's Antarctic expedition. And I've wandered into the Antarctic Centre here in Christchurch.
It will last for a short while, and then all will go quiet again.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm alright, thank you. What do you think I should see or hear?
I was going to say, that could be an interesting concept for you. I would certainly, the 4D's not going to be much pop for you.
No.
Because that's just going to be music.
Yeah.
There is a penguin talk, so you'll learn all about penguins at 3:30. And so you'll get to smell the penguins as well as hear all about them.
Do they make noises, penguins?
They do. They make lots of noises. They're actually one of the noisiest birds in the world. They're also, what you're going to do is experience what it feels like to be in an Antarctic storm.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And that goes from -8 down to -18, a bit like England in the winter.
Now look,
this
come
is
on.
Antarctica in the summer.
I've just stood outside this building here in Christchurch. It's freezing out there.
It is blinking freezing.
It really is cold.
And this is our spring. You'll love it, don't you?
Go on in, and you go, and you go, and you go. All right, you go. Grab a jacket, put it on. I want you to put another jacket on, my friend.
You think I need another one?
No, I think you do.
Okay.
I know you do, in fact. You will too when you get in there.
Just putting on a heavier jacket, as advised. Right.
Incredible. The wind has suddenly stopped. You get so used to the constant howling. And when it stops, the silence makes your ears ring.
How people stay in those conditions for months on end, I just don't understand.
The storm like that can last 3 to 5 days. Just on and on and on. And you heard a wind of 120 k's.
Is that what it was?
But you had a 40-kilometre wind blowing at you. So, a lovely summer's day.
Yeah.
Penguin feeding time! If you turn around, go directly up this hallway here, corridor here. They get fed in the water first. We've got penguins that can swim and eat at the same time.
Do I get a chance to feed them?
Yeah. Oh, no, they'll bite you.
Will they bite?
Oh, yeah. Like before I became a penguin keeper, because I'm one of the penguin keepers as well, I had to go out there for a solid fortnight and just do scrubbing and talk to them and stuff. Well, they won't even accept food off you.
Really?
Yep, they have to know your voice and know you and
your smell, presumably.
The only time they don't bite us is when we're feeding them, of course. If we pick them up for some type of medical treatment or something, they'll take a chunk out of our arm. Especially Morgan. Morgan is our big grumpy old man in the enclosure. He takes a chunk out of your arm. And when we have to worm him and give him a vet check and everything, we actually have a little wee orange road cone we have to put over his eyes so we can't see us so he doesn't bite us.
No.
They are very, they may look cute and cuddly, which they are.
That's a great thing to have on your passport, isn't it?
Isn't it cool though?
Penguin wormer.
It's so funny that did you say passport? Yes, that was so funny because we just went on holiday at Aussie just recently and we're going through customs and of course you've got to fill in your card and put what your job is and I put penguin keeper of course and the man looked at me and I thought, oh God, what have I done? I've got something on my face or something in my bag or what? What a cool job!
Well, I think you should have put penguin wormer. It's even better.
Penguin poo cleaner. That's more the accurate description.
She's going to feed the ones on the rock.
All our penguins are rescued. They've all got something wrong with them. We've got wee Bernie, who's our youngest. He's only 9 months old. He can't feed himself, so we've got to pick him up and help feed him. Bernie's the one who, like if you pick him up, he goes, he talks to you. He's just gorgeous. He's so funny. So, I mean, of course, he did try and eat fish in the pool with the others when he first arrived. But obviously with his eyesight, he couldn't see them very well. The silvery fish in the water, So now he thinks we're mum, thinks we're going to regurgitate fish to him. We're like, no, we won't do that, but we'll help you eat.
That's going a bit far.
We'll feed the fish to you, but we're not going to regurgitate it to you. Sorry.
Oh, well, it's intriguing to know from that expert there that blind penguins find it difficult to make friends. I'd rather do a bit of research on that. I don't think that I've ever found that problem, but then I'm not a penguin.
It's beeping slowly at the moment, and when the beeps get faster, that's when it's time to cross. Oh, there's the tram. It's just interesting listening to all the sounds around.
Yeah, it is. It's a genuine sound picture of Christchurch, this. All forms of construction. Cranes, hammers, drills. It's a different kind of morning chorus, really.
The reality is that within the 4 avenues, which is kind of how we define the central city, there were 1,300 commercial buildings lost. So even if they replace them at the speed of 1 a week on average, that's 25 years to rebuild a city. A lot of sort of built heritage in that has been lost, and what's going up in its place isn't to everybody's taste, perhaps, who remembers that. We're very close here to the CTV building site, and that was one of the places where most people died. I think it was 115, 116 people in a single building. So this is kind of a significant place in terms of the earthquake story. So what we have here, 185 chairs, which is an art installation by Peter Mahendi, and it is literally 185 chairs, and each one represents a life that was lost. And so you have a variety of chairs here. You've got sort of wicker chairs or dining room chairs.
Can I move along a bit?
Yeah, if you come down here, you'll find there's actually a baby's...
It's a baby chair?
Yes.
And there were, I guess there were children. Now this is a complete bonus for me because I've read about Nio Marsh, who is a New Zealand writer, a crime writer, who I read in Braille when I was at school. I was about 10. And it seems she's almost forgotten in New Zealand, but on the edge of Christchurch, at the top of a very steep hill, is her house, preserved, almost as she left it. I've come to find out more.
Now we're going to go up that steep flight of stairs there. They're about 12 stairs.
She must have been strong, old Nio. Oh, it's got that lovely old smell, hasn't it?
It has rather, hasn't it?
Yeah, can I smell books?
Well, there are books everywhere.
What I really want to know about, because I read the books.
Yes.
I must have only been about 10 or 11 when I started to read. Death at the Bar was the first one I read.
Oh yes.
And I'll tell you why, because it was in Braille. It was the only one that was in Braille, and it was in our school library.
She wrote 32 books, and she was still writing at the end of her life. She was 87 when she died. She died in 1982.
Oh, right. So she went on much longer than I thought she did.
She didn't stop. She didn't stop at all.
Right. Shall we see some
Let's
things?
do that.
Things she used?
Yes. Well, she used to... This room we're in has got a great big round table.
Set for lunch.
It is. And everything in this house is authentic. So it's got quite elaborate china with rosebuds all over it, and old silver cutlery. And
well, you'd have to have been careful what you drank here in case she'd been trying out some poison or other, wouldn't you?
They had friends who lived down in the Rangitata River, which is a long way south of Christchurch, and there was a doctor in the family. She used to go down there and stay, and they would sit around the dining room table and discuss the finer points of how she was going to dispatch her next victim.
Hello there. Hi, excuse me. I'm from England. Could you help me with the pronunciation of the art gallery?
It's Christchurch Art Gallery, Te Puna Owawetu.
You're having as much trouble with it as I'm going.
I was a bit, actually.
Well, anyway, this art gallery has played a big part in... I think the idea really is to revive the morale of people, but also to explain. A lot of artists have made attempts to kind of explain what's been going on. A lot of sculptures. Are there other sculptures here I can touch? I thought some sculptures.
Pretty much no touching apart from it's Tenebris Lux in the foyer, which is the sculpture just past the desk.
Yeah.
And it's a bronze sculpture, and there's also the bull outside on the forecourt.
Looks like I've just come across this sculpture, which looks more like somebody riding a bike to me. They look like handlebars. I don't think that's what it is, though. I think, because I've been talking to the lady inside, that this is a bull and a piano. But I guess those are horns. I could do with somebody else to describe this to me, I think. I'm just wondering, that sculpture there,
yes,
you couldn't describe that to me, could you? Because
I'm not the most brilliant artistic person, but
well, nor am I.
There's a bull sitting on the top of a green piano by some famous artist.
What does it say to you? Because I just sat there.
Well, some people like it and some people don't.
And what about you?
Sorry, it creates a lot of conversation, really.
Well, we're talking about it, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. And of course people stop and look at it, and of course you can see its private, parts, and it looks like it's having a great time on the piano, really.
Why a piano? That's what I couldn't understand.
No. I'm just the gardener, so I'm not really sure.
No, well, you've as much right to your opinion as anyone else.
Well, that's right. Why? I wouldn't have it in my garden, but I think it's quite a good place for it to be here. Yeah, and a lot of people stop and they look at it.
I was going to say, you tend these grounds here, do you?
Yes, I look after the lawns and the gardens. And I actually was part of the team who put the foundation for the sculpture to sit down on it. But I don't know what you must have the vision to do something like that. But people go up there and they touch it, so it does provoke a lot of conversation and talk.
I sat down and tried to play it, but I didn't get very far.
Yes.
I think people saw in the bull something about the earthquake, and they saw in the piano something about their lives or something like that. This juxtaposition of brute force and something precious. And that spoke to them. When you've been through an earthquake, what you have to understand is it's not just things move from side to side. The forces are three-dimensional. And when you're caught in the middle of this, there's no muscle that you can move in your body that is stronger than the force that you're trying to counteract. You are completely, for whatever, even if it's only for a second or two, you're completely at the mercy of these forces of nature. That movement came up from the ground at a rate of 2G. So if you'd been standing up in that place, you would not have been able to maintain contact with the ground even. And so when you see a powerful sculpture that's got a bull on top of a piano, it's going to speak to you. That's kind of a predicament, isn't it?
Indeed. I mean, that's what I mean. That's a symbol of powerlessness, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not going to encourage you. It's going to make you think, oh my God, well, there's not much I can do about that.
No, but you survived. I think that's the thing. Whereas so many didn't.
So, maybe a symbol of survival.
Yes, or even just coming to terms with the force. Because, that's one of the other things, people like to personify it. They talk about Mother Nature. There's always that danger, that risk, that the place we choose to live in has got that potential. And maybe that's what the bull on top of the piano is about. It's not so much about the vulnerability of it, but the necessity of living with it.
So where now, Terry?
Somewhere around here is the entrance to the gardens and the museum, and we should be able to find the fountain. They moved it once, but when they restored it, they put it back to where it's over to over.
Yeah, I can hear a fountain over there, can't I?
Yeah.
So why is it called the Peacock Fountain?
Because it was named after an early settler of Christchurch.
Oh.
I just love that plashing sound of the water.
I suppose if you're walking through an open area like this, it's quite a good guide as well, isn't it?
It is, because when you're walking into the gardens, if you know that the fountain's on your left, And it's got quite a nice frothy sound to it. The way that it must be the air getting into the water.
Ooh, nice smell.
Yeah, there's all sorts of plants in blossom at the moment. I just like, even though you can hear the traffic noises, and I just like coming in here because it has a nice feeling, a nice atmosphere.
Are you as fond of gravel as I am? I like gravel. It's a good guide.
Yes.
I feel like a radio sound effect.
I like being able to walk along and listen to the atmosphere around me. I like listening for environmental cues.
And what kind of environmental clues are you listening for?
Trees, posts. Oh, a bellbird. In the distance there was a bellbird. That sort of noise was a bellbird.
Oh, right. You can see why they call this the Garden City. Okay.
There you go. I think for some people this would be quite healing to be able to come here. For me, it's just quite nice to just be able to come to a place like this and feel that sort of peaceful, reflective atmosphere.
Does it spoil it for you that we can hear building sounds, and I think there are cranes all around and so forth?
Yes, it does, but you just tune them out after a while and focus on where you are, being in the gardens.
I'm Peter White, and Blind Man will be roaming the globe again next year.
Thanks for listening. We'll have more for you soon, and please do subscribe. The documentary is just one of our BBC World Service podcasts. There are many others to choose from. Why not try Crowd Science, where we take your questions about life, Earth and the universe to researchers hunting for answers at the frontiers of knowledge.
And we can see these fragments here, fragments of bone as well as fragments of rock, all mixed up.
That's got jaggedy edges.
Yeah.
Is that important?
It is. Actually, that's a fin spine from a fish called a gyrocanth. And we think some of them were actually used to actually anchor them into a kind of lake bed when there was currents coming through.
So these are fossils that are going to give us clues about one of the most important changes in evolutionary history.
Yes, because this is the period of time where animals first came out of the water and walked on land on 4 legs.
And to listen to Crowd Science, just search for it wherever you access your podcasts.